Welcome back, YouTubers, to my channel for an everyday life of an Aspie. If you're following me right now and you're new to my channel, I welcome you with open arms. I'm Aspie. I'm all about creating mental health and awareness and sharing my life stories with Asperger's syndrome, OCD and the like. It's been brought to my attention right now that at this point of time, before I'm doing the nitty-gritty kind of topics that I want to share that comes close to my heart right now, regardless of what's going down, and that I want to actually tidy up more than the mental health and awareness playlistings as well, because obviously even though it's going to be a bit more broader than the rest, as well as maybe some autism and series of the help central, so be on the lookout for that as well, so that we can, learn from each other and engage with each other somehow, one way or another. Also, just a disclaimer before I begin, some of these mental health series as well as maybe the autistic ones is, as always, I am no medical doctor. I am just a normal everyday Joe blog sharing my life stories regardless what I go through in my everyday life, of how I manage and cope with these everyday symptoms, or shall we say these conditions. So if you see any warning signs and symptoms in regards to any of these that I'm sharing with you all, be it it's mental health or the chronic illness or whatever it may be, do seek professional help or seek an opinion for your loved one or yourself. So let's begin this. This one's all about basically understanding the stages of chronic illnesses. As we know, with any illness, be it acute or chronic, there will always be stages that one tends to go through in their everyday cycle of the chronic illness or acute illness. So more often or not, though, the person's in crisis of a chronic illness is suffering the loss similar to a death of a former life they no longer have, death of sense of self-worth and worth, I should say, death of hope and confidence, and many more. However, as with death, there comes a rebirth, but it takes time to get to that stage of that cycle. Just imagine it like you're at that stage of a cycle of a little caterpillar, then it's transitions from a caterpillar to a cocoon to a butterfly. We could illustrate it as that as a clear example for you all to understand it more. One must go through the stages in order to learn to cope with their chronic illnesses. So let's take a look at the first stage of it, which is stage 1, which is crisis. Crisis is defined as any event that is or expected to lead to an unstable and dangerous situation affecting an individual, group, community, or the whole society. This stage can be very frantic for the person, especially that is seriously ill and terrified. They don't fully comprehend or understand what is happening to them. Physically, their ability to meet the demands of daily life have decreased tremendously. Mentally, they find it severely difficult to comprehend daily life instructions and often experience an overload of emotions and feelings. They just don't not respond like they used to. The ill person tends to withdraw themselves into themselves and utilize what energy they have and focusing on healing, getting better, and the most of their energy is focusing on how to control their pain that they go through every day. Confusion and disorientation sets in, and then the concept of time tends to slip away. Is highly common. Panic and anxiety sets in, fear of being able to handle their family life, children, spouse, medical care, finances, and so on, taken away from the person as the ability to handle it all, to barely handling one issue, let alone dozens at a time. Whoever the patient's support system is, be it their spouse, other family member, friends, will feel the stressful pressure and become anxious themselves, especially if they feel they must be taking on that full responsibility and role of picking up the slack of what the patient can no longer do. After the supporter will feel a sense of obligation and to be highly supportive. Strangely enough, most people perform very well under high pressure and crisis. Sadly, however, the primary person affected by the patient's illness don't receive the proper support they need to cope with. The patient during this stage actually will feel overwhelmed and burdened with the thought of responding with proper thanks to their friends. The best thing a friend can do is help the direct source of the patient's system. That person can then focus better on their loved one. The patient during this stage will often feel a bit of resentment to get well wishes, simply because with the chronically ill, this has no relevance in their life as with someone with an acute condition. A quick onset of an illness that does go away. They will do well and get well. During this crisis mode, however, the patient can only focus on the onslaught of their physical and mental pain with the only thoughts of surviving through it. During this time, the patient is engulfed in fear of the unknown that their future holds, and all that they know is their life as they knew it has been shattered. Stage 2. Isolation. Isolation is defined as the process or fact of isolating or being isolated. During this stage, the initial onset of the illness may subside, however, they never fully are in recovery and the illness continues on. The patient then starts to realize that the illness is ongoing and is chronic. The thought of never having a full recovery is devastating, however. This will cause the patient to become uneasy, restless, and sleep is hard to come by for them. They fear the outcome of the future, and it takes a major toll on the patient's self-image and self-esteem. During this time, the patient becomes very anxious in dealing not only with themselves but others around them. This is understandable and semi-justified. Nobody but the patient can fully comprehend the devastation of their losses. The more independent the patient is or was, the harder the isolation becomes for them. The family, during the major part of the acute onset of the patient's illness in stage 1, as illustrated, is now spent and exhausted. They often realize they harbour some anger and resentment toward the ill person and fearful and disgusted by the sick person's situation. This is when severe isolation becomes prominent in both of the parties, and everyone starts to withdraw into themselves and they realize life will not be the same. During this stage, friends tend to drop away and give up on the ill person. Chronic illness is something that scares most people because after the initial onset, friends find it too overwhelming with that a personal struggle with themselves to continue having contact with them. It just takes too much of their time, energy. This in turn devastates the patient by the parent lack of concern shown by their trusted friends from who they, turn to and they care about. It is yet apparent simply because more often than not, the failure to contact the patient means that friends may care but don't know how to act. Friends also during this stage don't fully comprehend that the patient can no longer come to them for the visits, gatherings, such like that they used to do, or none at all. Friends will then tell their sick friend, "I miss you," yet never go to the source. Once again, this may apply to the friend not fully knowing how to respond to the sick patient. The patient must ask themselves a very sticky question, especially those we talked about who were highly independent. How comfortable are you in asking for help? This question generally shows itself during stage 2 of isolation, but actually they are part of the everyday living for the great majority of the chronic illness of this person that suffers from it. The patient must learn to set aside being uncomfortable, asking for assistance, and allowing others to help them. As with anything, this takes practice and patience. Often the ill person sees asking for help as a sign of weakness, failure, and resulting in feeling guilty for even needing to ask for help. Guilt even comes to play for the person into having an illness to begin with, and the negative feelings in regards to themselves surface during this isolation stage. The isolation stage is a crucial time for communication, and no blame must have never played a part. It is highly important during this stage for the patient to talk about their feelings in order to break that isolation phase. Be prepared for if the patient does open up to communicate to you for some time, this will be all they can talk about, and it's the only way for them to work through it or work it out. So the support system needs to be a very understanding patient during this time. The patient may experience even being tired of hearing themselves talking about it. Stage 3, anger. During this stage, the ill person has been suffering severe physical and mental pain, anguish, upset, anxiety, fear, worthlessness, and feeling helpless. They all feel it being unfair, unjust, totally senseless, being inflicted by their disease. This stage often results in sheer rage in huge proportions, and the patient often targets this anger towards themselves. Suicides and suicidal attempts are often a dangerous reality during this time period. The feelings of despair are too overwhelming. There are a couple of reasons why the patients target themselves for these feelings. Number one is, first of all, is being it is almost impossible to be furious with fate. There's no external opponent. In order to prove some meaning for what has happened, many people rationally conclude they have brought the disease upon themselves by being a failure or bad in some other way. The patient finds it then difficult to keep clear that it is the illness that has disrupted their life. The second reasoning for this, of the suicidal thoughts especially, is that the illness breeds many feelings of helplessness, worthlessness, being a burden both physically and financially to those around them. Chronic illness just can't be washed away, and their disability is a struggle each and every day. The threat of a major recurrence of or increase in the symptoms may be a constant anxiety tucked away not far from their consciousness. They often feel the underlying problem can't be solved and believe it is their fault, which results in severe unhappiness. Sadly, the patient's feeling of self-blame is greatly reinforced by society. Families are unable to help because they too are angry and at the patient. Unfortunately, family members may also, as with friends, drop off and away. The changes in their life are directly attributed to the patient and not to the patient's illness. Even medical doctors have been known to display anger with the patient having a chronic condition they can't cure. Anger from a doctor directed at the patient from all sides is mentally understandable, however is highly destructive to the patient. Suicidal thoughts start swimming its way through into the patient's mind. Another huge problem during this stage is the family. There is a massive amount of strain on them as well, and the families who fare better are those who can understand that the sick person is not the same entity as the disease itself, and they see that the whole family is in this together and are committed to coming out of it as well as possible. Families need to seek out a support system for themselves as well as so they can cope with the anxiety of what their loved one's chronic illness has brought to the table. The stage of anger is the most hazardous to your emotional well-being as the patient, and the feeling of being trapped is strong. Fear and anger brings a sense of loss and lack of control. You can take back that control, but it must be done in baby steps. The primary reason for anger most often can't be avoided. This is not the time for anyone to be pointing fingers and casting blame towards oneself or others around them. Placing blame doesn't do any good for anybody. The response must become task-orientated. For example, today I'll do only one load of laundry, walk the length of a room, answer one email. Shoving towards those goal sets, even in small doses, helps subside the anger. Trying to do things the way it was done prior to the illness is a surefire way to set the anger off again. Patients, family, friends and others should all focus on the strengths that remain on the accomplishments that can still be achieved. Stage 4, reconstruction. This is a stage where the person afflicted with the illness may now be feeling stronger physically or have less frequent visits of their chronic illness, giving them enough time to begin learning living skills and functions. Important decisions on new friends or other social contacts may come into play during this stage. It is common to start being having a sense of safety based on their newfound skills. The patient's moods becomes lighter with more displays of being happy, and the difficulty seems a bit further away. The patient starts to learn the possibilities and limits of their illness and what can be done. With the loss of friends or even family members along with the previous stages as described before, the patient selects new friends on how well they will react to the factors of their illness, and even will seek out others with the same or similar condition on the basis of understanding. This takes the pressure off the patient of having a friend who poses no demands they cannot meet. The patient chooses wisely a friend who will not take offence of a broken luncheon date at the last minute and not take it personally that prior engagement cannot meet me due to a flare-up of the person's illness on any given time. During this time, the family of the sick person either adapts and establishes a new routine, or it dissolves. So what exactly has been reconstructed anyway? Well, you can guarantee it is not like the previous life prior to the illness. This here is, however, the reconstruction of oneself as an intact human being. The stage of reconstruction takes on many solid aspects such as development of newfound skills, hobbies and interests and such that are most important, that holds great emotional value to that person. When how a person lived their life previously had been shattered into a million pieces by this illness, the patient fears that they may no longer be seen as a whole person ever again. It is the renewed sense of self and image that starts the reconstruction process of the mind and body. In most cases, people do great for several weeks, but as a chronic illness can do, it can flare back up, or the patient is devastated by some incident causing a setback. With each experience, and trusting in their succeeding helps the patient with confidence in reconstructing their lives. With each reprieve of their illness, the patient becomes more confident, and when a setback happens, while upsetting, the patient now learns to find the strength to forge through it to get back to happy and new reconstructed self. In other words, there is light at the end of the tunnel, even with the setbacks that they have. There is a life to be lived, yes, in a new way, but life nonetheless, and one that can be a happy one. Last but not least, two stages I should say, is stage 5 and 6. Stage 5 is your intermittent depression. As with stage 3 of anger, where heavy depression was involved, now that things are looking brighter for the patient in stage 5, everyone is tempted to let their guard down, relax, rewind, and may therefore be caught off guard when a significant depression rears its ugly head up again. The freedom and happiness of the patient's newfound skills in life can give way to new feelings of total despair, as the patient remembers just how simpler things were to do back in the day, before their illness, when everything was so much easier to handle pre-illness. Nostalgia and grief may come together, causing depression and discouragement. Many people know just when to expect to run across those rough spots. Things such as seeing their doctor who confirms their intuition that their or your condition isn't improving or is worsening, appointments, dealings of having to give up driving, anniversaries of divorce or death at a specific time of the year, the physical problems first occurred, and the list goes on, can often cause a setback of depression. Counselling during these difficult times and setbacks is recommended to help provide a new understanding of what all the feelings of loss are coming from. With a renewed sense of understanding comes a new resilience. It doesn't cure or make the losses go away straight away, but gives you the tools you need to work through the depression. With this intimate depression, a couple of feelings will surface. The awareness of loss of function that happens several times during the course of the day and ordinary living. The other is the awareness of the loss that brings in an image of what life would have been like had the illness not occurred in the first place. With these two combinations, depression is quite likely, a vicious cycle, if you will. In this cycle, a sense of self-punishing mechanism kicks in and directly causes a chronically ill person to self-destruct in their own self-worth, confidence and confidence. Thoughts of, if only I didn't have fibromyalgia or other illnesses, I could still go hiking or whatever activity I did enjoy. If only statements are the main cause of this cycle. They contain harsh self-judgments and feelings of worthlessness. Now, when in a happier state of mind, when experiencing these feelings of loss, try saying, I really miss hiking, but at least I can take a walk today. When the cycle rears its ugly head, the soul become uneasy. Family, friends and even doctors mistake the desperate pain of knowing one's hopeful fantasies will not be realised for having a self-pity session. Saying things to the patient like, just stop feeling sorry for yourself, so totally miss the point that their illness is tragic. It is extremely hard to have a sense of self when you're depressed and are afraid that you will never begin to be able to value yourself or others. One of the key dangerous phases to say to the patient during this time is just snap out of it. This will truly set them back. Trust when I say there is nothing more in the world the ill person would like to do is just that and not feel the way that they do. Self-esteem improves when the patient succeeds in gaining some independence and purpose back, whether the success was working further that day or remembering an important event or task without even being reminded. Self-esteem improves. Within the cycle, any unrealistic expectations you have for yourself can't compete with the gratification of hard-won success. A family, friends, and even the medical profession can and would appreciate the triumph of being able to struggle. You feel even more triumphant. Those who wish you well generally make the mistake of praising a sick person for their progress without letting them know how difficult the ongoing battle is against the force of their chronic disease. It is normal for everyone to have periods where they are not up for any struggle in life. However, as long as the attention is being paid to that the struggle is real, getting through the day will happen. We flounder when we set unrealistic goals or can't even grieve what has been lost or can't even start a new day. Depression can be tackled despite the physical complications that attempt to take us down. Depression is real and there's no shame in getting help here. Stage 6. Renewal. The feeling of sadness your losses never completely disappear. Lingering about you is a sense of regret for all things that you have been lost to you. Being proud of any achievement you have accomplished is essential for retaining an active life. If you have to use a wheelchair and you master it, that is something to be proud of. This doesn't mean you have to like it, just be proud of mastering it. It is okay to slack or resign yourself to the compromises you need to make to get on with your life. Just know it's important for you to acknowledge that changes in lifestyle and skills must be made. Realize that your new skills will differ from before your illness, and it isn't the same as adjusting to the illness. This isn't giving in or surrendering. Consider it as self-growth and creating new horizons. Renewing oneself comes from the learning curve that shows us how to seize the moment of the day of this present and throwing away the fear. Discouragement breeds the feeling of being all alone, and there is truth to that feeling. It's important to know that in many ways you are not alone as you think. There are people all over, maybe next door to you, who have similar feelings at times. There are always others who have the same similar condition. You do have comprehension of what you go through, because they too are going through it. thoughts wake you up in the middle of the night, just know there are others struggling in pain. Even if someone has the same condition as you, nobody can quite share your unique experience, but there is a kinship and strength among us all who are no longer able-bodied. So this quickly ends basically understand the stages of chronic illness. Give me the like for thumbs up for support and engagement. Comment below. Feel free to share these videos around. Feel free to follow me on my social media sites. Don't forget to subscribe and also to turn on the notification bell so you know where I'm up to right now of my updates and whatnot. So enough for the day, guys. Thanks for support. Thanks for watching. Do what you love what you do. Until next time, Aspie signing out, and see you again soon.